So right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, dear listeners. This is episode 85 of the Devon Dice Podcast. Wow, that feels like I've not done that for a very long time. It does.
You haven't.
I'm your host, Joel Wright, and on this bumper show for you tonight, I've got my hosts, normal co-host joining me. We've got Lewis Jones and Nick Shaw. And I'm not going to do some long intro for them because we ain't got the time. We got so much to talk about in this present time. But yes, it's been a long time coming. Almost a year since we've done our last podcast. And it's mainly due to my fault. I do apologise. But in that time, I have moved house. Have moved house, done several different courses for my job, and now got a new job. So I'm just moving colleges. But there's been a lot going on, and it's been one of those times, like I said to Nick, it was January. I thought maybe I'll sit down and get the guys together and do a podcast. Next minute I know January's over with. Okay, maybe we'll do it in February. February's over with. Okay, March. Let's go for March. And by the time I get to message them, March is over with. So we finally got round to it in June. We're still in June, aren't we? Yeah, we are.
Just about still in June.
Sam was hoping to make it tonight, but a typical stereotype husband, he actually forgot it was his wedding anniversary tonight. So, yeah.
Classic error. We've all been there. At least you remember before the day was over. That's a good start.
Well, this is it.
Yeah.
One step ahead.
He didn't. He could have been one of those guys who got his golf clubs on his back. He says, "Oh, I'm off out, love." She's like, "You what? Do you know what day it is?" "Yeah, it's golf day." Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. What have you guys been up to?
You go first, Lewis. You got your fun washing machine story.
Okay. Well, I've moved house as well. Did I already live here?
You already moved because I cursed you for moving me and leaving me.
Yeah, I now live in in Wiltshire. So I live there, Wiltshire, near the Oxfordshire border, otherwise known as Swindon. It's nice. It's going well. The house renovation plans for my sort of 1800s house that needs lots of work has the architects finished the plans. We got them costed, and we realised it's cheaper to build a new house. So we're going to be building a new house and knocking this one down. The architect is currently in the process of designing that house. So there we go. Wow. Hopefully planning permission by Christmas. What else have
you applied to Channel 4 for grand designs yet then?
Couldn't think of anything worse than having Kevin the Cloud snooping around trying to get my wife pregnant and split us up and breaking things so things cost more. It seems very strange, doesn't it? Like every single time he goes to a build, suddenly the costs spiral. It takes 5 times as long. The couple's divorce followed by a baby. Interesting, Kevin. Interesting. I don't want to do it near me. What else has happened? I got promotion at work. Is that a thing? I guess I now want to be associate partners. That's quite
nice.
Good. And that's it, really. I mean, that's my news. My washing machine just broke, which is why I was late. But anyone listening to this podcast doesn't know I was late. Should have just kept quiet.
Oh dear. Nick, how's you?
And then what's been up with me? Goodness, since last August, my day job's got busier and busier and busier, so I've had less and less time to play games. But I'm still doing lots of solo modes for various games, so I'm still playing a lot more unpublished games than published. What else has happened? My daughter turned 18 now, which is very scary. Eldest.
Yeah.
My eldest and my second eldest have now just finished school because they're going to go. Eldest is off to university, and my second eldest is off to college. So yeah, that's a end of an era and beginning of a new era. It's quite scary. But yeah, mostly just yes, much the same, ticking on, other than just busier, endlessly busier.
I find less and less time for board games actually, which is why actually to scratch the itch. It's interesting that you've done kind of more of your solo stuff, but I've just branched out more and more into computer games. I'm bringing back some.
I can't cope with staring at screens after doing 8 hours of work on a screen during the day.
Fair enough.
I know you're playing on that. Yeah, I mean, actually, like Lewis, I've actually the COVID's probably been the worst in that. Is that I've gone more towards video games, and I've actually gone back to some of my old roots before board gaming, and like.
Oh yeah.
Christmas time, got a brand new Xbox Series X, and got in contact with some old friends and been playing online with that. And
that's
kind of, it is nice. But then I kind of look at it as I got this board game collection, and I'm just like, nope, press that button online. I'm instantly playing. I'm just like, and that's kind of another possible handicap of why the podcast has not been upkept, is because I've been too. I don't know, as well as like working a lot of hours for the day. Yeah, I come home and the easiest thing to do is to press that little button on the console.
Yeah, just switch it on and off you go.
Yeah,
it's just so convenient.
Yeah,
the convenient factor is through the roof. It does, and these days, when you can be chatting to people, we've all got used to kind of online chatting as a way of socialising. So it's that kind of. That face-to-face need is less important.
Yeah.
But I've still been gaming.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've had to push myself. And Monday nights in Plymouth is been quite handy, even though it now clashes with my karate lessons.
But everything clashes with karate now, doesn't it?
This is it.
You were telling me.
I mean, karate used to be on Tuesday nights, but because of COVID again, they've had to move venues, which they can't do Tuesdays. They've moved it to Mondays, which then clashes with that. And it's just like, And I've been trying to convince them, say, can't we go back to Tuesdays anytime? And they're like, nope, this is where we are now.
Classic COVID, isn't it? Classic COVID.
So
just
ruining everything for everyone.
Literally, just everything, but with the obvious things. Sometimes the less obvious things as well.
So yeah, and I was just Nick saying his daughter turned 18. Caitlin Lewis turned 15 this year.
Shit.
I say that every time I wake up in the morning. Shit,
scary
I've got a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I was about 8 when I first met you or something?
Something like that. Sorry, that was my chair.
Sure it was.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm getting to that age now. I just can't help it.
Gosh, no, she's probably even younger than that, was she? When did I meet you?
Yeah, I don't know. We're going back sometime.
It probably wasn't. She was probably about 6 or 7, wasn't she?
Probably, yeah. I remember going to the Essen, and we went to Essen, and it was like Caitlin was playing up, and we had this phrase going around.
Yeah.
Can't really say it on there, but it's just like she was just in one of those torment times, and it was just like, Caitlin. Which, still like it sometimes now, but she has grown up and matured, and like sometimes I was like, wow, where did my little girl go?
Yeah.
Luckily, my kids are still suitably young. It's fine.
So,
my
eldest is now 7.
Nice. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he was a baby.
Known me when he was born. Yeah.
Yeah, he was literally. I think he was just born, and you were allowed to come out gaming.
It was when I was on my paternity, is when I started meeting up with you guys down in. I remember it now. Yeah, in Ivy Bridge. Oh yeah. Gosh,
so 7 years.
7 years. Bloody hell.
Anyway,
nearly
enough
8.
reminiscing. Enough reminiscing. Let's get on with the podcast before we lose. Well, maybe the only listener we've probably gained back.
They're already bored.
So we're going to actually start with the news. I'm going to cover a few news articles and see how far we get down this very long list of news-related topic, and then we'll get on to what we played. Yeah, because I don't want it going on all night. No one wants to listen to a 4-hour-long podcast. So whatever we don't get through tonight, we'll probably hold off for, hopefully, the next podcast that we get around to doing. And it should be still newsworthy then. So let's start off as always. I was hoping Sam would be here, but he's not. And we're going to start off with some Clank news, of course. Clank being one of the...
I don't know. I love the way you can literally squeeze Clank into every bloody podcast.
Episode.
I don't think a single episode's gone by that you haven't managed to mention Clank in some way or another. It's not even that good. It's perfectly decent. It's a perfectly decent game, but it's not that good.
So the news on Clank is they're basically Renegade Games will be no longer the publisher of Clank, and it's just going to Direwolf Digital. They are going to take control of
that does.
Wow, yeah. Interestingly, that when Direwolf Digital, if you can't guess, is basically just mainly dealt with digital app for games. They actually have quite a few good games on their digital forum or their catalogue, like Root and Sangria, the window pane with dice system. I can't think now. Sagrada. Sangria is a drink, isn't it? So Sagrada. But so they also Paul Dennin actually created Clank, but because they've never dealt with cardboard side of gaming before, they had a partnership with Renegade Games that would produce the cardboard version games for them. But now that they're feeling comfortable taking control back of their games and do it them all themselves. So that's the news of Clank. Just like good news starting off with.
A Clank update for the episode. Excellent.
Let's move on.
Moving on. Spiel Desirous nominees were announced last month. The Kinder Spiel winner has already been announced, and Nick was looking at it just now to see what it was like.
Well, they announced the
Zelberberg.
Yeah, they always announce.
The
yeah, they always announce the kiddies game a month before the other two for some reason. I suppose it doesn't take as much.
Play test it quicker.
Possibly, yeah.
Like that. Yeah, it looks quite interesting. It's like a little, almost like a plinko where the marble drops down various paths. It's like down a little mountain. And you have different coloured marbles, which are like will-o'-the-wisps, and they either hit your character or the witch, and you're trying to get to the bottom before the witches do. Something like that. That was what I took from the short video I watched. But yeah, it looks quite fun.
Zungerberg. I think that's how you say it in German. Zauberberg. So Magic Mountain was the winner. And the other one was basically Quacks of Quembleberg, but for kids edition.
Yeah, Quedlinburg Dash. Just like it was a simplified bag drawing.
It's already pretty simple.
Yep, this is even simpler.
Even simpler.
It is even simpler.
Yeah, the two other nominated ones are both Wolfgang Walsh designs. The other nominations.
They were, weren't they?
So, yeah, Quedlinburg Dash and the kids' version of Guns Schon Clever.
Yeah. So, and now my kids all grown up. I've really got... Hopefully I can actually pull this out with them.
Yeah, age 5 and up. Yeah, probably not. But Magic Mountain, interestingly, does play. It's a co-op, but it does play solo as well. So you imagine a 5-year-old on their own playing with the marbles. That'd be pretty cool.
Be quite good, interesting.
Yeah.
So, the Spiel des Jahres nominees, the 3 nominations is Scout, Top 10, and Cascadia.
Yep.
So I played Scout. Top 10 is not even being released anywhere that I can find.
It's not in English yet. It's only in French. Or French and German, I think.
I was going to say, it's got to be in German.
Yeah, it's got to be in German, so it's in French and German.
Yeah,
they're working on the English version.
Cascadia feels like it's been out for years, but again,
It's been out for a year or so.
It's when it gets published in German is when they get nominated for these awards. Scout is actually really quite good fun. Actually, I played that the other Monday, and it's kind of like a trick-taking game where you're either playing pairs.
Of the same kind or run. Yeah.
And you're just trying to outdo the person before you, and if you can't beat them,
kind of Uno-like. You're trying to get rid of all your cards as quick as possible. Yeah. But you're playing multiple cards at once, and it's also, you could also say it's a ladder climbing. So you're always trying to play a better hand than the previous person.
But there's a nice trick. Is if you can't beat the previous hand, then you actually take a card from that previous hand, add it to your hand, and then it comes round again. And you can only take it from the top or both sides. You
top
can't
take
take
it
it from them. But these cards have different numbers on it, and you can flip them around and insert them into your hand anywhere. But the other thing is you can't move your hand around when you've put it in place. It's set. So it's really interesting, and that really strategical play. It's like, well, and I saw someone do a really clever move, because you get this little token in front of you which you can flip over, and it's so when you take a card it's called scouting, but if you flip the token over it's scouting and play or something like that.
Scout and play,
so you can take a card action. You could take a card from that and then instantly play a hand down. And I saw someone take a card, flip their token, and play a hand of 5 cards in a run down. And it's like, wow, okay, I didn't see that coming. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's not too hard to get. I think they've got a new load coming back in.
Yeah, new coming quite soon.
Yeah,
it went out within weeks of the nomination, and they did have some at the UK Games Expo, and they sold out within about 3 hours.
That's pretty standard.
But they do go another. It's a very small little box, so they've got another printing coming.
Although I'm just having a look at the list and I can't see where the King Domino reskin fits in this year. I'm a bit confused by that.
Well, there was a.
They've got Wolfgang. There he is. It's in force. Wolfgang's there. Now I just need to find King Domino. Must be hidden in one of his other games. It doesn't look like King Domino.
Yeah, it's under pseudonym probably. That's it.
Yeah, Cascadia.
Cascadia. Have you played that, Nick?
I haven't played it yet. The group's got a copy, but I haven't had a chance to play it.
No, neither.
I hear conflicting reports that it's either very good or it's a bit boring, a bit dull.
Okay.
So I need to play it to try and find out. I think it's a bit too light for a lot of the people that I play with.
Top 10 is kind of interesting, but it's like, what the hell are they doing with this in here? And it kind of gets that feeling that it's going to be another Pictures. So
I thought exactly.
Was it last year or the year before?
It was the year before.
Pictures won the Spiel des Jahres, and it's basically like code names, but you create pictures from items in front of you. This is kind of say anything.
This is like Wavelength.
Yes,
it's like Wavelength and Say Anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Wavelength, but it's just slightly different in the way it does it.
And I've got.
But it sounds quite interesting. It is a party game type game. It's much more partyish.
I got a feeling this could probably win it, which will be a shame.
Yeah. It'll be a shame that it's not available in English.
Mm-hmm.
So none of us can try it unless we get a manually translated version.
The other recommendations was Seven Wonders Architect, Echoes, Echoes the Dancer, Magic Rabbit, My Gold Mine, So Clever, and Trek 12 Himalaya. Oh, is that is? Okay. My dyslexia kicking in there. I'm surprised Seven Wonders Architects wasn't up there, because that is a fantastic, simple version of Seven Wonders that you could put in front of anyone. It's not confusing or complicated, and I think it
right weight. Yeah.
Fits a family.
Things. I wonder if they didn't do it. Did Seven Wonders get a nomination when it came out? I wonder. I can't remember.
I think it did.
just looking it up now on
I
the
think
fly.
it won.
Spiel des Jahres winner, yeah.
Yeah.
Spiel 2011. So I wonder if they didn't do that because it is so similar to Seven Wonders.
But it's not, in a way. I think it's...
The way they do the drafting is different, and it is much simplified scoring, but it is very similar. I would say it's very similar.
Yeah. So...
But it is much more the Spiel des Jahres weight than the Kennerspiel, which is what the Seven Wonders won for.
Right.
But it's good.
Yeah. I kind of hope Scout kind of wins it, because I don't think Oink Games has ever
Scouts.
got it.
I think it'd be really good.
But I got a feeling top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be another
Did it?
Pictures. And Pictures vanished from any buzz whatsoever. I haven't heard of it since it won.
Because it was not that great.
Yeah.
As I looked at reviews, they were just saying it's a game.
Yeah.
It's sometimes fun, but after a while you get bored. And I think this will just be the same. And this will fit into those group of people that like to play the same game all night. Like the ones that like to play Secret Hitler or One Night Werewolf or things like that.
Every single night.
And so be it. If that's your thing, fine. And that's great. But I just don't see how this is an award-winning game of this caliber, really. But
especially when it's so similar to Wavelength.
Mm-hmm. Then the Kennerspiel des Jahres. So this is meant to be for the older gamer. We got Cryptid, Dune Imperium, and Living Forest. I played Dune Imperium. I've got Living Forest on the shelf, and Lewis has played Cryptid.
I have. Yes, I played a couple of games of it. It's very good. I really like it. It's the game that Cluedo should have been. So it's kind of logic, deduction, and reasoning. It's, I guess, the other way. I don't know if anyone ever played. Is it 13th Planet or 14th Planet or something? That there's like a logic and reasoning one where you kind of gather little bits of information and you can kind of work out, well, if that's true, then that can't be true, and things like that.
The Kickstarter one you backed where it was
Search for Planet X, it was called.
That's
that was
it. Yeah.
But the thing is that uses an app to randomize things, whereas Crypt is very, very clever in that it will it can just work. I don't know how it does. Very clever people. I've worked it out. So basically, what will happen is there is some sort. So you're each some sort of. I think you're a little monster or something. And at the start of the game, you'll get given rules about where you live, and it can be like near an outpost, or only in water, or next to a forest, or in a mountain. And there's sort of 3 or 4 rules you get given. And then on each turn, someone will guess, are you in this space? Could you be in this space? And you have to kind of put a marker down to say if you could or couldn't be in this space of your colour. And so over time, you can start looking up, and you can, following the set of rules that you're given for each game, you can be like, okay, well, if he can't be there and he can't be there, then that means he can't be that, he can't be this, he can't be within 2 spaces of a tower or whatever it is, and he can't be with that. And so you can work out who everyone is, and then it's the first person to work out. No, it's the first person to find the creature. That's it. I remember now. Everyone gets given a clue as to where this creature lives. And if you put all of the clues together, everyone gets given like 3 clues. And if you put all the clues together, it can only be 1 spot on the board. And so you've got to work out what everyone else's clue is. And that's it. So you say, could the creature be here? And if they've got to say if according to their rules it could or it couldn't, so then you can work out which clue they've got. So then you can combine it with yours, and eventually it leads to just 1 spot on the board.
Okay.
That sounds really cool. It sounds very similar to the way Tobago works, where you're whittling down where it can't be until you find out where it actually is. But with this, it sounds more asymmetric to the way you're deducing the clues.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So it all depends on on what other people know. But I mean, it's very close. It works very well. So I mean, I whittled down to 2 spaces on the board. I had a 50-50, and I knew that my mate on my left had already worked it out because he was acting suitably smug. And so I took a punt at one of the 2 spaces that I knew, and annoyingly got it wrong, and then he did already know, so he did actually know. So I'd made one fatal error further down the line, but it didn't matter. I still knew it was one of 2. Whereas if I'd worked out one extra clue, one person's clue, I just hadn't quite got right, and that's why I guessed the wrong of the 2. I thought it was more likely to be that one. But yeah, it was good. It was good fun. I enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Yeah. So it's finally been published in German now.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. It's not a young game. It's been around since I think.
Yeah, 2019. I think it came out.
2019. Yeah, something like that.
2018. 2018 was the published date.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it at UK Games Expo on display years ago. So
it's had expansions and stuff already, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's
good game.
Cool. And then Dune Imperium.
Have you played it,
I've
Nick?
played as well. I've played it once. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a deck building cross worker placement game. It's one of the 2 that came out last year, along with I've forgotten it. Lost Runes and Arnek.
Oh yeah.
Because that was similar. But this is based on the movie, or the book, I should say, of Dune. And it's got similarities to Clank in many ways, because it's got the dungeon row where you can buy cards from, but you've got then spots that you can put workers out.
Sorry, Joel. Sorry, just to interrupt you there. Just to point out, you managed to bring Clank into yet another part of the podcast. That's quite impressive. Well,
He's
well done.
contractually obliged.
Well done. Yeah.
We should be sponsored by him, but we're not. So yes, it's but you got these on the main board. You've got different spots where you get you got a couple of workers. It's been a while since I actually talked about this on the last podcast we recorded. This is one of the feature games we talked about. But anyway, so there's a spot you can put workers out to gain resources, of course, or you've got different council tracks you can go up. So if you go there, you influence the council, I believe. And then there's also a little section where you're kind of putting troops into the battlefield and having a face-off with that. It's really interesting. It does take a long time to play. But I think even on the podcast, even though it took us all night to play, I didn't notice the time, and I wasn't bothered when it realised, actually, it's nearly time to go home. This is all I played. I actually enjoyed the game. Did kind of feel like I was robbed of a win when I'm hurtling up to win the game you have to reach 10 points, and that's it. Yeah, it's a race to 10 points, and I was up at 9 points. The closest person was on 6 or 7, I can't remember. He'd already played the game a few times, and by the time we got to the end of the next round, he had suddenly gained so many points that he triggered the end of the game. And he won, and I was just like, how? I want to go back and just see how you did that kind of thing. But so yeah,
I think it rewards repeat plays. Yeah,
it does definitely.
You can work out how to get those jumps. So I've only played it once. And I was not too impressed with it, being honest. Right. I think it did interesting things. I think the battle mechanic was interesting, where you could choose to put in troops or not. And you had to get the majority influence, so then you get the bonus at the end of the round. I found the deck building kind of tacked on. Didn't really like the deck building much. I didn't feel it added much to the game. I'm sure
that was interesting.
A game with deck building in these days.
It was interesting because you needed the cards.
You need the cards to get the areas to go to.
Yeah, so you played a card to put your person or your 2 people. You put one person out with each card you played into the area, and whatever you had left over might have had enough points to then purchase more cards. I believe that was the way it was. On it. So you're kind of weighing that option. Is do I want to play this guy because then I can put him in this really good area, or do I save that card because then I could buy that card that's in the row? So it had that kind of toss up of like how you play the cards and what you want to gain from it. So it was quite good. I think that's where a lot of the time goes, is people trying to decide how they're going to play.
Yeah, reading all the cards, seeing what.
So it's not a game you play with Lewis.
I felt that it could have been a lot more thematic. It was quite dry, and I felt the theme was rather pasted on.
Yeah.
I wanted more June in it.
Yeah, I think, as I understand, the expansion they brought out already actually fixes some of that.
Yeah, it might
of course, but I haven't played it. So is that. As I said, I've got Living Forest on my shelf, still in the shrink. I was hoping to get round to playing it very soon, but not had the chance, of course. So hopefully, maybe by the time we do our next podcast, then the winner will be announced. But at least I probably hope to have played it by then. And we'll see.
It looks good. I've seen it been played in the Monday night group, and it looks fun.
I do wonder whether it's going to be either Cryptid or Living Forest, but I don't know. Maybe they have a surprise win or.
Yeah, I wonder if Dune Imperium's slightly too heavy a game for them to choose.
I would say Cryptid is an ideal choice for them based on previous choices. But
then it's been out for years.
That step up.
And
not
this is
not in Germany though.
No, but then this is my thing, is that I think winners are based on how long it's been out for and how many more copies they can sell of it, because they get royalties per copy sold with their logo, slapped on top of the box. And this
if that's true, they would probably just go for Dune Imperium, because that's guaranteed to sell more.
They'll sell tons if they pick Dune Imperium.
Is it? I mean, it's been out for almost a year now in English.
Yeah, but it's going to sell. It's going to keep selling. Especially with the expansion.
It's not like the latest movies done gangbusters, has it? But hey, maybe you're right.
That was good.
Oh, did you?
Time will tell. Little test your theory, Joel.
Yeah?
How money grabbing are they?
I say quite a lot. That's why certain things don't get nominated or win, because of how long they've been out and how many people have already owned a copy.
Clank didn't win.
Clank's never been nominated.
that's the main problem.
Is it how in German? That's the big question.
Oh yeah, it's good. Oh yeah, because the name is the name is brilliant. It's not Clank. It's like
Doink or something, isn't it? Bloink.
Kadonk or no. Doink or bonk, something that sounds really German, but also you just know that's just Clank kind of thing. Because I think Sam says I want to get the lid of the German version just because of the name on it.
Believe it or not, we had a whole episode on what the Germans call Clank. That was a fun one.
Anyway, the recommendation list is Arc Nova, Cora, and Witchstone. Now, I played 2 of those, and I'm actually surprised both of those are not actually in the top 3 nominated.
Arc Nova's too heavy. They wouldn't.
Yeah, I think they need to have another category. Don't you reckon?
I would say it's heavier than Terraforming Mars, Arc Nova. And Terraforming Mars only got a recommendation.
Yeah.
Which really should have been higher up.
Now, Cora I've got, and that's a pleasantly surprising good game. And it's actually Yellow, who published it, is their first heavy game. But it's actually not that heavy. It's quite pleasant and really quite good. Funny thing was, I played it quite a few times. Played it at Meeple's Corner, brought a copy, played it a few times after that. And then there was a gap of a few months, and then Nigel and Karen came around, like first time met up since COVID and that, and they came around. So I got this out, started playing it, and then got to the end of it. I was like, I've done something wrong here. What have I done wrong? Because I thought we'd done so much better last time we played. Why has it been so hard? And I looked at it, I was like, Jesus, I got a huge rule wrong. Yeah. Major rule wrong. Like you get these 3 different tokens you get throughout the game. And you need these tokens to upgrade your race or buy new cards or do stuff. And I was telling, oh yeah, but you have to spend them to do this, but you don't. You just need to have them and just say, oh, I've got these tokens, I can get this card. So then you're kind of opening more and more possibilities of, if you get, the more tokens you get, the more stuff you can buy and the more upgrades you can do. But yeah, we were spending them, so we weren't doing that well. And I was just like, that's huge. I need to be taken outside and flogged for that. That was major. But we played it again when they came back round again and played it correctly, and it was like, yeah, that's a lot better. Enjoyed it that time. So yeah, so that's the Spiel des Jahres nominees for this year.
Look forward to seeing who's the winner.
Yep. UK Games Expo happened, apparently.
Indeed. You weren't there.
I weren't there. Lewis weren't there.
Lewis wasn't there. I was there.
My friend Alex went.
Oh yeah.
His friend Alex went, hoping to see Lewis there. Lewis has messaged me. He goes, "Did you go this year?" I said, "No." He goes, "No, neither did I." I forgot it was on.
I remember my mate texted me going, "Are you here?" Oh, we didn't think about that, didn't we?
Define here, because I'm here.
Yeah. We may have had a loose conversation about that. I can't remember giving any guarantees.
It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, it's next week. It's next weekend. Oh, I'm already booked up. And then it came round, and I was just like, not that bothered. Really? I
had actually planned to go, but like you said, I don't know. I think I am significantly less bothered than I used to be.
Yeah. I'd rather put my effort and money into something a bit more that when I got like either going to a convention where I can play just play games, or go somewhere like Spiel Essen, and like
just
purchase games that just buy games that are not out yet, and you're going to get access to games that probably won't be out for the next few months, kind of thing. And just put my effort into that, because for its due, yes, UK Games Expo is great for British board gaming and things like that. It brings people together, brings UK publishers to the forefront and their games and that. But at the end of the day, it's just a big hall full of shops that are selling the same games for pretty much the same prices, and it's just like,
Yeah, there was nothing much. I would say was a major release during that time. There's no one or two games that were hugely hot.
Well, UK Games Expo are usually the forefront for, oh, this is our new game. Oh, can I buy it? No, it's on Kickstarter, so you can back it, and then if you go to Essen, you can pick it up at Essen.
Yeah.
Why have I wasted my money coming here?
They
then?
were quite
I might as well just go to Essen.
Yeah.
So
it was nice to see Hachette, who were one of the newer distributors in the UK, had a very big area. They were playing games, and so that was really nice to see them.
Okay.
Because they're bringing across a lot of the kind of French games that haven't had a UK publication recently. In recent years. So they're bringing a lot of those across now. So some really good games across. So yeah, they had a nice presence there. That was looking good. And the numbers for the expo were actually only slightly below 2019's figures. So they've bounced back tremendously.
That's good.
They said they had 23,000 unique visitors and just under 40,000 turnstile, which is, it's only fractionally down from 2019. So the numbers are looking really good for recovering from COVID.
And
it's certainly.
I don't think there's any doubt, really. I mean, people was like, once it's over, it's just like, I just want to get back to normal life. I just want to go back to what we were doing.
And so many people want to just go back and get some gaming back in their lives.
Yeah.
The open gaming halls were packed all day, all evening. Yeah, it was. So it was very busy for the people who went.
I think I was just a bit annoyed for the last time I went, which was probably 2019. That I spent half my time walking around trying to find people, trying to find somewhere to sit down and game.
Yeah.
And it was just near on impossible. And I just got a bit kind of what's the word? tired by it. So if I had gone, I probably would have felt a lot different about it, but I wasn't that bothered. And yeah, maybe I'll go next year. Anything else there, Nick? That because you already won. I don't even know if Sam went. So
I don't remember if Sam went. I think he said. I can't remember. He may go on for one day or something. There was, as I said, there was nothing that I would say was a major release. It was nice to see some games. Sniper Elite had kind of their first official outing there, which was there was a lot of interest for that. Alicat had some of their new games, which they often do at the expo. It being a UK publisher, that's sensible. But generally, it was much like previous years where you have a lot of retail stalls, you have a lot of the craft stalls, all the accessory stalls, and Asmodee taking up half the hall doing demos of their gamers. But nothing I would say that was significantly new that was worthy of mention.
Did you get a chance to go to Bring and Buy? Or?
I avoided the Bring and Buy. So I was working the Mighty Boards booth most of the time.
Okay.
So the times I wandered around, I didn't have long enough to queue up to get into the Bring and Buy. It was very, very busy. But they did very well because they made a lot of money for charity. But yeah, it was a very busy Bring and Buy.
Oh.
My feelings on Bring and Buy are already well publicised.
Oh dear.
2 hours of my life searching for a copy that didn't exist was the highlight.
Oh, yeah.
That's a highlight. Oh no.
Exactly.
It went downhill from there.
Pointless event.
Maybe it's changed. Maybe they got better. Or maybe it's just as worse.
The usual scalpers going in the first day and then walking back around and putting them back in for twice the price. Anything that's actually worth buying.
Oh.
Ridiculous.
People do buy things for crazy prices near the end.
Yeah, it's just so.
Where you can buy them for the same price at retail just around the corner.
Yeah,
I know.
Crazy.
It wasn't UK Games Expo, but there's a PAW in Plymouth, Association of Wargamers or something like that. I think it's what it stands for. And they do a Bring and Buy when they do their annual event. And I remember, I think I put a promo in for a Simon game, the ship one, MMO one. I can't think now, but I got a promo for that and didn't need it, so I put it in there for like 17, maybe 20 quid, something like that, and it got brought up. But what really confused me, because it was back on the shelf, I was like, I got notification that it got sold. Oh no, it wasn't, because I didn't get notification. I got there. I went to go around to see how my games are doing. I was like, oh, that's still there. Why is it priced at 50 quid? I didn't pay it up for 50 quid. So I went back to him and said, why is this? How has the pricing changed? He says, oh, I don't know. And he went back and looked over the records. He goes, oh no, it got sold, and now it must be the same one as being put back on for 50 quid. So someone actually bought it, and Nick, you know him. He lives in Cornwall, and he basically bought it, and he thought, and he's very notorious in the Bring and Buy at UK Games Expo. I think he practically camps there, and so he basically tried to make money on it, and it didn't sell for the weekend, which I was quite happy about. So
I worry. I mean, it's just another thing that just artificially inflates the resale value of board games, which artificially inflates the initial sale value, and so which artificially inflates the resale value, and it just been this cycle over and over again. It's Bitcoin, isn't it? I mean, everything's coming crashing down now, isn't it? I mean, like you said, Simon are getting a load of crap because they can't deliver anything. I've got a Kickstarter that from a company that's basically not going to come until they can get some more money. I think the house of cards is starting to come down.
I think that's already started coming down, and kind of like if you follow the Facebook pages, like the big one, Trade and Chat one, that gets very policed by the regulars. When someone tries to put a game up for sale for a high price, they usually jump on and say, oh, you're trying to scout people out of money, are you? Oh, no, this is the price I want for it. And so it's too much. It's way too much. This is what it was on Kickstarter, or this is what it is at the minute. This is what the price should be, kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of policing going on in that kind of sector. So it is kind of, there's a bit of control, but yeah, I think like you said, when you get to the bring and buys of these places, people do try and get like high price, or if they find a copy for a ridiculously cheap price, they'll turn it back in to get their profit on that. Which, if people are willing to pay for those prices, they're willing to pay for it. But it's a risk, isn't it? They take.
Yeah.
That segues nicely into the command.
Yeah, I was about to say. Talking of which, Simon.
That was my link. That was my link. But yeah,
it was your link, was it? It's
Try again. Try again, mate.
It's segueing into a lovely next bit of our news bit. Simon is having a bit of a backlash on their latest Kickstarter. So,
people finally realised that putting in far too much plastic to overprice a decidedly average game is not the way to go.
I don't think it's even that though.
I don't even think it's that.
Postage, isn't it?
It's all
no,
due.
It is.
I think, yeah.
So the latest game at the minute on Kickstarter is Cyberpunk 2077: Gangs of Night City. Now, I would have loved to have done a podcast back in January, because they also had their last previous Kickstarter out then, which was Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game, which I backed. Sorry. And
Marvel Zombies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's not a thing.
It is a thing.
It is. It's a massive comic book storyline. It's massive, big IP. And actually, because of the Kickstarter, I actually signed up to the Marvel digital comic series thing they do, to read up and read the storyline, and it's a massive big storyline that carries on throughout different publications of Marvel series and things like that. So that done gangbusters. It reached it's near on the highest funded Kickstarter. It's Simon's highest funded Kickstarter, reaching 9 million, and people were just wanted this game. It was amazing. The chat was just like, what character are we going to get next? What are they going to do? Blah blah blah. It was all about that. And then the pledge manager came out a few months later, and the estimated shipping costs were doubled, or tripled, or just stupidly more than the whole of the game was worth, kind of thing. And they had a massive backlash from that, saying why was this? What, the game or the pricing?
How much was UK delivery?
So for the standard game and the X-Men kind of side game, which can be played on its own as well, was estimated around $60-70 to be posted to the UK.
What?
Yeah. And then when the actual pledge money came in, there was nearly another 60 plus added onto that.
120 quid to get the game posted to you.
Yep. Yeah. And who's to know, when it actually gets to the customers in the UK, am I going to be charged for more custom charges? Do you have any recourse
to that? Can you get your money back?
We can. You can ask for a refund. But they'll take 17% or something off of it, of what you paid, or you pledged.
This is why I don't go near Kickstarter anymore. It's just I got stung like that as well. It wasn't Simon, but it was another company that, when the actual shipping cost came out, it was just so high. I don't know if it's just because of Amazon Prime, and therefore in our heads we all think that you shouldn't pay for postage and packaging anyway. But even your standard small kind of internet shops, it's like, oh, spend more than 20 quid, get free postage, isn't it? Like most of them will write off the price of postage based on that. So I can't think if you've got a Kickstarter worth 9 million that you can't that you can't bring those costs of delivery down.
Well, I think this is where a lot of the backlash is coming from, is like people are being outraged. Like, you look at other previous Kickstarters before them, and everyone's suffering with the shipping crisis that's going on at the minute. Yes, at the time that they put that out, the shipping cost had like gone into near on 20,000 for a container, where it used to be, well, before COVID, it used to be like 3,000 to 5,000. And so, you think, hold on a minute, they made 9 million. Surely they can suck that up somewhere and say, we're going to lose out a bit here, but because we want to support our community and do it, we'll soak up this extra cost. But no, they put it all on the backs of the backers and say, well, if you want your game, you're going to pay it, aren't you? And that's basically been their attitude.
I just to pause. I am really enjoying the top comment on the Cyberpunk 2077 Kickstarter at the moment, which is posted 2 hours ago by Michael Gunter, which just says, "Just to think, I'm glad I spent the money for this game on shipping for Marvel Zombies."
That's something.
So that moves us on to why I bring it up. Now they released this Cyberpunk, the Cyberpunk game. They're not doing as well as normally their Kickstarters do.
Yeah,
yes.
Haven't even touched 1 million yet. Only 10 days to go.
I mean, when Marvel Zombies released, I think they hit 3 million within 24 hours.
Wow. But then that's a Marvel IP.
See, it is different IPs, yes.
Yeah.
And so I can't tell whether it's the Cyberpunk IP. It'd be interesting if they brought out something different, like another Marvel game, or that Cthulhu Death Might Die. People seem to be edging for season 2 or whatever they need of that. So comparing this to previous, I don't know if it's got the grounds to have that comparison margin to it. But yeah, so it's not doing great. And as Lewis just stated, the comments are basically people whining about the shipping costs, whining about the shipping costs of the previous Kickstarter. I don't think that's Kickstarter.
Whining. I mean, there's whining implies there's like what you bang on about, like, oh, my diamond shoes are too tight, that kind of stuff. Like, if someone wants to charge you £120 to post you 2 cardboard boxes, I'm going to say that's not whining. That's a legitimate query, especially when you were told the estimated cost would be half that.
Yeah, okay, I put whining into the wrong context. So people, the people are pissed off because even on this, the shipping is immense. Just to get this standard game, which ain't got that much to it,
it's $110 for that, for the game itself.
Yep. Plus, I'm just trying to get down to shipping now.
And the UK is $68.
Yeah,
shipping.
$68 plus. There's no guarantee that'll be it. It's estimated shipping costs.
I would like it documented now. Bitcoin. That's all I'm going to say. Bitcoin. That's what's.
You're advising us to invest in Bitcoin now, so we can afford all the C1 things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. No, just everything about. I honestly think all the board games. I think it's going to come crashing down. I think for lots of reasons, but I think the golden age is waxing and waning.
Oh yeah, I think with the shipping costs, they just can't keep doing games of this magnitude, this size.
I
think Kickstarter's done.
I kind of think this is just Simon being greedy, no hold bars. But because there's other games out here,
because this is Joel. Just to say, I don't think it is just Simon. I think delivery is kind of an issue for everyone. But I mean, this is just so I have not backed anything on Kickstarter for a very long time now, for lots of reasons. But one of the reasons here is, I got an email the other day from the team from FunForge, who do the Monumental.
Yeah.
And they obviously did a reprint and expansion. And I backed the expansion because I like the original game, even though it's a ridiculously long amount of time to play for what it is. But I thought I'd get the expansion. And then I got an email saying, "Hello, backers. Today, the team of Funforge is deeply saddened to announce that we need time to gather funds for the fulfillment of monumental reprint Kickstarter campaign."
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
I've also released an update on the Kickstarter page. Regarding additional costs, shipping logistics fields have now increased more than 470% in the last 2 years. We know a solution is to organise and get extra funds for weeks now. I mean, it's just not going to get delivered. I mean, how are they going to get extra funding to deliver something that will then deliver no extra money? You know, it's just not going to happen, is it? This is my money gone down the drain. It's gone, and they're going bust.
Unless they can get it to retail. I don't know if they're putting it into retail as well, and they just up the retail price.
I was surprised not to find at the bottom of that. We will be sending out feelers whether you want to pay or contribute extra to help get this to you.
Yeah, I wonder if that end up being what happens.
That might be phase 2.
It wasn't.
I'm not sure I'm interested. Good money after bad, isn't it? That's the Kickstarter's dead. I worry about the whole industry as a whole. I think there's a lot of worrying trends. I just don't think people. Number one, I don't think people are going to have the spare cash to spend on something that is increasing by such a huge amount of money at the same time. You've got a double whammy, and I think.
Well, you say that.
One of the first things to go.
This could go on to one of the Kickstarters Nick put in here, and you say it's dead. That this Kickstarter.
So Tsuro,
but dying.
the luxury edition. So yeah, Tsuro is bringing out, or the publisher's doing a luxury deluxe version. The basic pledge level is $350. Actually, is that the only? I know you can get
Tsuro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tsuro. The rules are printed on a bamboo script that you unroll. There are pewter figures for all the things. That all the tiles are made of stone, kind of grafted. It's in this wonderful wooden box, and it's made £220,000 ready.
Yeah, but it's because it's so expensive. Only 700 people have backed it.
Yeah,
that's the point. I mean, there's no another. So you might. I mean, you're still going to get luxury products, aren't you? I mean, that's always going to still exist. I mean, why you'd want to buy a luxury version of Tsuro? I mean, it's a good game, but it
doesn't deserve a
2-minute game, isn't it? Like,
yeah. It is a bizarre choice. I mean, fair play if people can afford it and want to pay for it, but $350 for that game, are you going to want to play it at that cost, risk damaging it, or people buying it just for a collector's item?
Chipped.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's going Bitcoin. People are just buying to invest, aren't they? They think it'll be worth more in the future. I'll take it to the bring and buy, and that bloke will just grab it off me and then put it on for a higher price later.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from that now, but I don't see that as it. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I bought many games off Kickstarter and then tried to sell, and I've not made money made money. I more or less lost money, but I've got my play out of it. So you could say that's kind of rent in a way.
So that's how I've always looked at it. Like that's always acceptable, isn't it? Like if you sell something second hand, it should be for less than the original price. I don't quite understand how they
massively out of print.
That's a rarity. Yeah, I guess, but I mean, these things normally come back cycling into print. I mean, it's cardboard and
it's the ones where the IP is no longer allowed, and then that becomes a very much a desirable item.
Yeah, but even they
but in the general,
and they come back again.
Generally, yeah,
like,
you get
because June was lost to the IP world traders, and then look, that's come back. Nice reprint. I thought, it's never coming back. It's everyone's Grail game. Oh, look, it's back. There you go.
And then nothing special, is it? At the end of the day.
Exactly. No Twilight Imperium.
So basically, it's going back to the Simon. It's just been hilarious, and I said to Nick at the beginning of the podcast, I'm surprised they've not actually cancelled this project yet. For one, they're not making as much money I think they plan to make on it. I reckon they might be coming into a loss if they don't hit $1 million. I think they might be looking at that it'd be a loss to them.
Yeah.
And we looked at the numbers, didn't we? The backer numbers.
Mm.
Now, the 4,500 backers, only 3,000 have actually backed the game. The other 1,500 are backing without a reward level, so they're just backing probably for $1 just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Or to make a comment.
huge number.
Like a lot of them.
Yeah, or
that's
just
been the
comment,
funny. Yeah. Some of them just, I'm backing for $1 so I can put this comment on here. And then they throw things at the backers. Like there was an update, and the update was saying change for a new policy or change your policy, and everyone thought, oh, finally, Simon might have seen sense and they're going to change their shipping and that. No, it was just basically one of the updates of introducing a new character model to the stretch goals, and it was like, oh, great, so you're really rubbing it in our faces kind of thing, putting titles like this. And
don't forget they added it to the stretch goals, but all that means is now you can buy it. Like that was always the joke as well. Like what? That's what I was hated about Simon's.
the all-in is no longer all-in.
I was like, well done. You guys have been so good. You've unlocked something else you can give us money for. Like that's not a reward, you absolute knobs. Piss off.
Well, anyway, yeah. So, yeah. After that, I don't think Simon will be getting any more of my money. And
they've never had any of mine. Till they make a decent game, I'm not interested. Actually, Blood Rage wasn't terrible, was it? And then they had those like 3 other remakes of Blood Rage, which was the same game with different models.
You haven't played
What was
Marvel United?
What was that one game they had? It was like catapults or something. It's like a defender one, almost like a tower defend one. It was absolutely terrible. What was that?
Oh, it was Siege.
That's it. Yeah.
That was terrible.
There was a bit. It just didn't work, did it? Like something didn't work, and it just got completely broken. Again,
I think that's just them. They said they got shown a game. They said, "Great, how can we turn this into full-on miniatures and make money out of it?"
Yeah. I wonder how we can plasticize this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the reason I'm moving away from Kickstarter. Like the games that I like and I like the look of, but I don't want a board full of plastic. Like it just needless cost. And then you go, okay, well I'll just have the cardboard one, but somehow they made the cardboard one the same price pretty much. Like, well, why would I get the cardboard one? That doesn't make any sense. There's no way that the cardboard one price can be any way close to you having to bloody pay £5,000 to tool out 500 models. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So moving on from that. Village Big Box is going to be released. You play Village? We all play Village? I play Village.
Yeah,
Village is great.
Village.
Good.
Not played any expansions, but I just play Village.
No, I played Village with you. I definitely buy the expansion.
Yeah, it is a good game, and it was one of those that was out of print for a while, I believe.
Yeah, you could always get it though. Like,
yeah,
it was always available.
It's always been available somewhere. Yeah. Especially
but now it's coming as a big box, new artwork, just like change of rules maybe in places, but I don't know if I like the new artwork. It looks a bit kind of fairy tale, like Grimm's fairy tale kind of artwork. You know what I mean?
Sort of fits the theme.
You like the classic Euro style, did you?
Yes.
It's like one of the original bag builders, doesn't it, Village?
But even the board looks a bit now plain.
Wait, I haven't seen the pictures. Give me a second. Oh yeah, gosh, it is a bit dated, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Oh.
So I'm not that. I was like interested, but then when I saw it, I was like, I don't know. I think I like the old version.
Yeah, it's gone almost too far into the almost half cartoony and half abstract.
It has.
The new artwork. Yeah,
No,
I much prefer the old version artwork.
Yeah,
I think
It's
the
a
artwork
lot cleaner. The new one's a lot cleaner, but
it just looks very dated. The artwork, doesn't it?
Mm.
That player
it's like a
looks like
prototype
something
version
that comes out of Fisher Price or something, isn't it?
yeah, that's right.
That's
Cheaper version.
My first.
My first village. It does, doesn't it?
That's a shame because I really like Village and I'd back a big box.
I like the mechanic of you like the cubes on the board and you just like pick it up and that's like your action and also resource, wasn't it? You're collecting. So I don't know. Maybe they might. I don't know if there's been any kind of comments made on Board Game Geek or anything towards the new artwork. I haven't really looked into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why are you doing that? Friend of the show.
Sorry, Joel. Just want to quickly pause this for you, just to stay onto the Village big box. I've got this. The current hottest thread on Board Game Geek is given the complaints about the board artwork, can we please instead also get a Village Golem edition? That would be an instant buy for me.
Oh, brilliant. That's so good.
In fairness, I would buy that.
Brilliant. So yeah, we're not the only ones that think then it's not a great art
All
design
the comments
choice.
on the picture of the board on Board Game
Yeah,
Geek.
I can't say the box cover is beautiful.
Art, right?
This is prototype art. Right?
Yikes! That artwork, not for me. Oh wow!
I can't say the box cover is not beautiful, but it's kind of lacks the same taste as Village. There's even a poll. There's a poll you can.
How terrible is this? Hang on, I just enjoy what Michael J has put. I mean, it might just be because I don't know anything about art, but it just says, "Wow, I'm usually pretty tolerant of lesser art, but this looks awful." It's like he's like quantified it as lesser art. Like it's just he's hadn't even started. Like normally I will tolerate shit art, but this is bad.
Oh, so someone's put so the poll is: do you like the new artwork? It's wonderful. Next stop, Louvre. Can't beat the original one, but still fine. Nothing special. The box is. If the box is not so big, it would. I would not even remember. I've already ran away. When our art teacher tried to show us the middle-age art, it's terrible, and I don't care. I want to play Village.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm aiming. But it's interesting, isn't it? On the whole, people seem to be a bit less serious. Board Game Geek was always, and the board game community was always just people taking themselves a little bit too seriously, hasn't it always been? But it looks like people are starting to. I think as it's getting more kind of broad appeal, I think we're getting more of the kind of traditional funny kind of comments out there, aren't we? Which is quite good.
So hopefully, they might start listen to these people. And
I hope, unless it's already been sent to print.
Probably, I think it might have done.
You said 2023, didn't you?
Is it 2023?
Well, maybe they haven't.
No, it's 2022.
Oh, yeah,
I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon it's. I think
but
it's going to be out for
Is it straight
Spiel.
to retail? It's not being crowdfunded.
No, I think it's going to be Spiel.
But surely the
Release
rule
date.
is like you've got Board Game Geek. Just if you're making a game, just release all your art, all your rule changes. Do it all before you do anything.
Well, you would have thought they'd done
you
some
get so
kind
much
of
feedback.
customer testing kind of thing. Like you said, put it out there. What do you reckon of this art? Things like that. But no, sometimes I think companies think they're too big for that, and they just say, "Oh, this is great. We're going to do it like this."
Anyway, so we can move on now. I just had to put that.
I'm voting in this poll now.
Beginning of 2023. So maybe it's not been done yet. Maybe there is time.
So it might
for
be
them
available
to.
to pre-release and SM.
Maybe.
Then retail in January.
So, friend of the show, he probably doesn't even listen anymore. Peter Hofgaard, who runs. I'm really sorry, Peter. I've forgotten now. His own board gaming review site. He was also the one that does the lists, as well as Board Game Geek do their lists of conventions and lists of games and that on there. I really can't think.
He does a good Essen one, doesn't he?
Yes. I feel really bad now because I can't think of his review site. Oh, it'll come to us and I'll add it in here. Tabletop Together. Yeah, he's basically created his own game, and it's being released by Chet's Games edition, and it's called Starship Captains, and it was actually on display, and you're able to play it at UK Games Expo.
It was. I saw it.
You saw
I didn't
it?
get to play it though.
How did it look from a distance, Nick?
From a distance, it looks like an average board game. It's the thematics it's a big board and player boards around it with lots of bits. But that's as much as I saw of it. But everyone who's playing it looked like they were having a good time.
All right. See,
I like the theme. I think it's great.
I listened to a podcast, and he came back not enthralled by it that much. He said there was minimum interaction between players, and it was, like you said, an average board game at best.
No, what, he slagged up his own game?
No,
somebody else's podcast.
No, this is another podcast. So,
right.
So yeah, I was
more
like,
likely.
Hopefully that he did say it was him, and then it was just some random people we were with. So maybe it might work better with people you might know already, but it doesn't sound like it's got much player interaction in that kind of sense. So I don't know, maybe actually playing it yourself might be better. So, but it would be a shame if it kind of falls flat on its face for your first game.
Yeah, it was an interesting sounding theme. So I would like to try it. I'd like to see more when it comes out.
Definitely. I mean, it's kind of a parody of Star Trek, so it kind of
and it's
Star
engine
Trek.
building, action selection, so that's my jam.
Yeah. And last on the list is Gloomhaven Digital coming to consoles, which makes me excited because, as I did say, I've got a PlayStation. No, I haven't. I've got an Xbox X, and if this is coming out on consoles, then I would be happy. I can finally play the game thoroughly.
And can you play it with other people?
Oh, that's what I'm hoping.
Across the internet.
So,
which would make sense. It is effectively a team game, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Because it came out on Steam, but I could never play it because I have a MacBook, and they've never released a MacBook version of it.
And do you want it to be the board game on the computer, or do you want it to be like a fully remade RPG? So the whole point of Gloomhaven is it's like an RPG. That's like a game of a computer game.
No, it's like playing the board game, but it's got actual characters that move, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, animations.
So yeah, animations of characters and things like that. Mm-hmm. But you're still kind of doing the board game mechanics and tropes.
I just wondered, because people love the world, don't they? So I wondered if there was a scope to make it into like a classic RPG kind of, what would it be, Diablo style.
And just thinking of that, I was watching a YouTube channel of latest technology coming out, and there was one about a chessboard that is actually a real chessboard, but it moves, so you can actually play with people online, and then they move their piece, it moves automatically on your board, and vice versa. Cool. You move the piece, and they said not only that, you can have it as a centerpiece on like the coffee table, and then it will play through famous chess games from the past on its own.
That's cool. It
was amazing to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want that for that feature. Yeah.
Oh, what was that called?
It's called like the Phantom Chessboard, which kind of makes sense because the pieces literally move like on its own. The missus did ask.
Would I not consider that? Well, not for the fact that chess is I find chess such an overrated game. I'd be well up for that.
And Mrs. did ask, well, what happens with the pieces that have to jump over other pieces? I said,
I don't know.
I'm watching the animation now on the Kickstarter page.
Oh, is it on Kickstarter?
It is.
Was it been on Kickstarter?
Mm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been on.
Oh, it's been on, is it?
Yeah.
How much was it to buy?
I'll have a look. Just waiting for the page to load.
In answer to your question, Joel, how does the knight do it? The knight squeezes between pieces.
Okay.
$399 was the lowest pledge level.
It's not crazy. I mean, a lot of chess sets will go for that price.
Those are all the super early bird ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the very cheapest. That's pretty cool.
Anyway, Lewis, you got a good game and a bad game to tell us about.
And
the viewers need to guess which one is which.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what they are, and then everyone can make it their own mind. They can guess. That's the competition. Anyone who guesses right,
gets the bad one. You'll send them the bad version.
Shocked. I will be shocked. So, two games are. One of them is Brass Birmingham by Martin Wallace. Yeah. The other is Throw Burrito by I don't know, Steve, who came up with that about kittens in blenders or whatever it was. So
Matthew Inman, Elon Lee, and Brian S. Spence are the designers of Throw Burrito.
I'm going to correct you there, Nick, because they didn't invent the game. The game is rummy. That is the game.
It's rummy.
The
but
game
you throw
is rummy
burritos at each other
with a couple of sponge burritos that, when someone gets a certain set, you throw at each other
to distract you while playing. Brilliant.
No, because the game stops to throw these burritos. Without the burritos, it's an absolute pile of dog shit. I don't really get it. The game is rummy. You kind of get these sets of 3, and you're passing cards around to your left, and and then you've got to be quick, and it's supposed to be all real time, exciting. If you've ever played, there is a better version with little tiles and like dragon totems. It's like two row or something. It's called. You have to chant while you're playing it, and then eventually someone will get a full set of rummy, and then you've got to grab one of the totems. But there's always one less than the number of players. So what you're doing is you're being quick trying to get your thing, and if you get it, you get to grab first. But also you can still equally win by spotting that somebody else is going for it and getting for someone else. That was a really good game. Throw Burrito is utter dog shit. Keep thinking about which one could be which, and I'll get back to you at the end with the answers to the quiz. My kids like it because of excitement, throwing stuff at each other, but without that, there isn't a game there. And the worst thing is, I was trying to tell someone about this at work, and they got really excited before I could drop in the fact it was absolutely terrible, which is why I've started strong here. And they were like, yeah, it's really good, isn't it? And there's that kittens one as well. Oh, fuck, kittens in a blender.
Yeah, but it's that's
oh shit, what am I going to do now?
That's the same thing. That's the same thing we were talking about with at the beginning of the show, where there's a certain group of people that like that certain type of game, and if that's what they like. That's what
the game.
I know it does, but it doesn't for them.
Steal someone's game and then put your name on it and say, "I've invented this game."
But it doesn't for them, does it? Gin Rummy doesn't exist for these people. Throw Burrito exists for them. Like Exploding Kittens is basically Snap. This is their Gin Rummy.
These people keep stealing other people's games, putting them in
and making them worse.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah, making them worse.
One of the comments on Board Game, on the ratings, when they get a 4 out of 10, kind of impressive as a failure of game design.
It's so true. I'm saying that. Honestly, I could write you an essay, like a 2,000-word essay, on how bad the game is and how they've managed to make what is an acceptable game into something worse, like beyond terrible. But like I say, my kids like it, but again, they like it because it's throwing stuff at other stuff, and they're playing mum and dad, and that is an exciting and fun event.
If you took that burrito, the 2 burritos out as that gimmick, then it is basically just a card game that people get bored of.
Keep passing cards around until you get sets of 3 and then put them down.
Yeah.
It's painful the way they have to play it, Jill. They suggest it and have to smile and nod and go, oh, yes. Wouldn't you rather a nice game of Teen Zombies?
Did you get brought this by someone? And
I did, actually. I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast. He does sometimes listen. It was the same guy. In fairness, though, if he does listen, he'll feel chuffed because it's the same guy who I played his Cryptid. So he'll be pleased that I was bigging that up, even if Throw Burrito is a pile of rubbish. And he did get it for the kids, and the kids do like it. So he'll probably be
There's apparently also an Extreme Outdoor Edition, which comes with huge inflatable burritos.
But why would you don't need an extreme? I played it outdoors. We literally played it outdoors just the other day. Like, I don't. What?
man.
It's just
That's
it's
so
a
funny.
non-event. It's painful. I mean, it's not quite as bad as The Mind, pardon me, The Mind by Wolfie, but other than that, well, maybe it is as bad as that. It's on I don't know. They're all terrible. Anyway, so keep having a think of quiz answers on the postcards in a bit. Because
So is the next one better or worse?
Well, the other option was Brass Birmingham by Martin Wallace. Now, I have some issues with Martin Wallace, which I think was summed up by a live interview I went to watch him at the UK Games Expo, in which someone asked the question, how do you balance your games? And he went, I just sort of feel it out. Like, okay, yeah, that kind of explains it. But Brass Birmingham, I thought, was excellent. Very
Brass
excellent.
Birmingham is the one with the beer, isn't it?
With the beer, yeah.
Yeah, so I've got Lancashire.
Really clever. So many parts of it just like flip you on your head, like, and it should annoy me as well. Like it's a classic Martin Wallace where like you're playing a game, you've built your engine, and then half through the game they're like, oh, I'm afraid it's canals are over, it's the Industrial Revolution, so we're building trains now. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll just carry on building trains. No, we're going to remove everything you've built.
Yes.
Well, everything. Well, no, not if some of them happen to have a 2 on them. Well, I've got some of the 2 things. Can I keep them? Yes, you can keep them. Yeah. But I did. What? Okay. Can I keep this canal? Because I'm pretty sure the canals still work now. No, there is no more canals. Canals have been filled in. And then you're like, okay, well that's fine. I've built some trains then. And then so like, oh no. To build trains you need coal. Yeah, I had some coal. What happened? It got deleted, and then it's just everything's gone. And you're like, so I can't even build new trains to get this new stuff because I have no coal and nothing's connected to anything. And I should find horrendously annoying, but I found mind-blowingly exciting and fun. I don't know why. I really enjoyed the concept, even though I got completely screwed over by it. It's also got a deck of random cards, where if you don't happen to get the card that you need to build in the city you want to carry that you can expand to, you can't do it. I'm afraid, sorry. No, you can't play that move because you didn't get the Wicked Wango card. Whereas your mate Steve got 5 excellent cards and he now dominates in the steel industry. He's picked himself up 50 points. And not just that, you're going to have to keep paying him every time you want to build anything. So, oh, good. So that's how this happened. Yeah, that didn't annoy me somehow. That would normally drive me crazy. But it didn't. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole game. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. You know, I foolishly thought going for a big income would be a really, really great idea because money talks. And, you know, I had a massive, massive income. But at the end of the game, money is worth literally nothing. Nothing. Less than nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, that's backfired. It would have been good if I'd been a tiebreaker. During the game, well, maybe I just wasn't myself, Joel, because I mean, I'm going to tell you a couple of events that happened in this game, which you would not believe that I was involved in a game where this happened. Number one, somebody built a canal not attached to their network and connected up to a major port and opened up commodity trading very early in the game, and we missed the fact that he hadn't done it. I mean, he tried to do it another 5 times in the game. We had to correct him every time, which was painful. But that slipped by. So, and as I was in the coal and steel industry, that hurt me quite a lot. But again, I didn't mind too much. That was all fine. But the commodities became a lot more exciting in that first round, way more than usual. But because they were opened up early, so I let that go. A classic, an obvious rules error. I let that slip by me. I mean, when does that ever happen?
Yeah.
And the big one, I managed to, in the second round, the train round, when it's trains galore, I managed to spend an inordinate amount of money to build 2, and beer and coal, to build 2 train tracks in one move. I got halfway through and went, oh, do you know what? I could use my other action to build the coal and then actually just use my own coal to build this. That'd be a good idea. So I did all that, scored a couple of measly points for my little bit of coal, and then got to play the trains. I already paid for them, and each of those, and they were worth a combined total of 13 victory points. Those two tracks I spotted.
Lewis.
Needless to say, because of the inordinate amount of money I spent to build those trains, I went last the next round. By that time, everyone had noticed these two wonderful spots and had built on them. But when they did it, I just looked at it and went, that's really odd. I wanted to build on them. I put down a card and everything to build on them. Oh, but I built the coal instead. What an idiot. Instead of going, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't put my trains down. Give me a second. I was obviously in another planet. And literally the next morning I woke up and went, I put down that card. No, I built the coal for the two coal for the trains. I did build those trains.
How embarrassing.
I've not been well. I'm off my game.
So you're saying, Lewis, as normal, you took back a whole turn?
No, mate, no. I tried to take back. I should have taken back a whole turn, but it was bloody impossible because I didn't realise, Joel. When does that happen?
No, I know.
Rules going out the window. But again, all of these errors, I still love the game. I mean, what are the chances? And it's made by Martin Wallace. So,
Must be good.
A lot of people like Martin Wallace. I'm sure he's a lovely chap. Well, I've met him. He's quite a nice chap.
Send your answers to the email address of which one you think Lewis liked and which one he didn't. Yeah. And he will send you.
Surprised.
He will send you his hated game of the two.
Yeah. Oh yes, that'd be amazing. If I could get rid of that.
You never know. He might come and throw it at you if you're close to him.
Well, I don't know, mate. Brass is quite a big box.
So on my list, I've got 3 games. 1 a Kickstarter, 1 a retail version, and 1 a Grail game, which I actually never thought would be a Grail game for me, but it was. So all picked up.
How can it be a Grail game if you?
It just suddenly. Well, I didn't know about
it. That you're hunting for years.
Oh, I think it just became a Grail game because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that game. It's a really good game, but it's out of print. How can I get hold of a copy? Wait for someone to sell a copy. And I kept on missing out several times on Facebook of people selling it. And then suddenly I got just on there at the right time. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Not even checking the condition. So the Grail game is via Appia.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a Queen game. And this came out 2012, I want to say.
2013 is the
close, yeah.
date.
Mate, if you just turn up to Essen, then they've got a booth and they'll be selling it for £2.50 at like a big box or something.
Probably might be my luck, wouldn't it? I paid an okay price for it, I want to say. And basically, if you've not played this game before, it's basically you building the road from one city to another city in Rome, and it's called the Via Appia Road or whatever. But yeah, so you're building this road, and the great mechanic in it, and it's why I wanted it, is it's got this shove mechanic, coin push mechanic, where you got these discs on it at different sizes on this little platform, and you put a couple of discs on, and you have to push them on this platform, and stuff might fall off the other end, and what falls off you gain as stone to use as this on the road that you're building. And then you have this little Roman dude that you can try and make walk along this road when it's been built to get to the city.
So just to clarify,
it's
the board game version of Tipping Point.
Came out before Tipping Point, but
the bastard stole it.
Part of it is Tipping Point. The rest of it is a lovely Euro family game. Actually, it's really simple, and I think you could bring this out with young teenage, like 10 years and upwards, would be able to play this and be very into it. And because you've got this kind of push-in mechanism and trying to push stuff off, and then you've got this actual game that's involved in it of trying to score points and build the road and score points and walk across it and score points. So yeah, and I played it with a wife. She loved it. Played it with friends. They love it. I took it to Monday Night Group and they all liked it. And it was just one of those. I played it when it first came out. I liked it. I never thought about getting a copy, but it was one of those things. I was just sat there going, oh yeah, Via Appia's got that push mechanic. Wonder if it's in print or it being sold. Nope, can't find it anywhere. And then it was just, as I said, a case of waiting for it to pop up on a Facebook group and getting it for a good price, which I thought I did. So yeah, I think. How old are your kids now? 7 and Nick Lewis 7 and
7, 5, and 6 months.
You've had another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That wasn't in the news section, was it?
No.
I forgot that bit. Oh yeah.
You forgot about your baby.
Another child. Just edit that, Joel. Give me a second. And of course, the big news of the year is we have another child. So she's born, she's 6 months.
Well, congratulations.
Well, yeah. So what is it? And their name?
Her name's Hermione.
Nice.
So now we have Matilda and Hermione. So 2 strong, intelligent females from modern literature.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Theme. And then the boy we have as well.
He's right.
I'm shocked. Anyway, well, they're probably a bit young for this one, so give them a few more years, and the eldest would be able to get it. But yeah, it's a great little family game. I'm quite glad I've now got it in my collection.
Yeah,
and I will kick myself if I find out Essen for like dirt cheap money.
Well, if it's Queen Games, mate, the big box will be coming out next week.
Yeah, probably. I have been expecting that. It's like, now I've got it in my collection, they do release the big box. Oh yeah, we're reprinting it again with all this.
We've got to remember, it's Queen Games, mate, so they'll release the big box on Kickstarter for 80 quid, plus apparently 120 quid delivery these days. And then what happens is you'll go to Essen 6 months later, and it'll be £3.50 per big box. So there's
my Kickstarter I got, and I'm very surprised about this one because I actually wasn't expecting very much from it, was Reload from Colossal Games. Reload is basically Fortnite board game, and I got it because it was Fortnite board game because the boy likes playing Fortnite, and I thought this would be, and it's like a little skirmish game. You got a little hexagonal map, you got a dude or two, and you move like normal, and you roll dice to shoot at each other. You can build walls up, you can have objectives to do. There's lots of different ways you can modify the map or play it different ways. But the great 2 things about this, and this is what really surprised me, was you have this kind of like power bar. So instead of like trying to kill everyone and be last one standing, you can do stuff to put tokens into this bar that fills up along. And if you reach the end, then you win the game. You basically become a celebrity status, and you reach the end. So that's the main way you can win. The other way is if there's an event deck that comes out, and you pull a card up every turn, and if you reach the end of the deck, then the game ends, and whoever's got the biggest bar built wins the game. So it actually plays really quite quickly in this kind of mechanic. And they've got different size tokens you can add to the bar. So if you kill someone, so you do enough wounds to them, they come off the board like kind of like if you play modern Battle Royale games, they come out of the game, but they kind of can come back, redeploy back into the game on the next turn. So there's no kind of elimination in that kind of way, but you get a massive chunk to add to your bar. So that's a good way of filling it up. But there's also other combination things that you can add to this bar and fill it up. So yeah, and then the other thing is the dice mechanic they use in this is you don't roll dice to see how well you do. You've got this player board, you put a dice down. So if you want to move, you put a dice on the movement section at the highest dice setting you want. If you want to move again, you put another dice there, but it might be a bit lower. And then once you place all 5 dice, you then push those dice to a kind of defense line. So if anyone attacks you, you use that line of how you place your dice in your defense against what they using against you. And it gets a bit complicated, but it's actually really clever. So you've got to kind of think out, well, if I need enough high defense dice, I need to try and put it into these areas that will have high defense. There is some rolling dice if you're shooting. So if you're going to shoot someone, you will roll dice. But that's mainly it, I think. The rest of it is kind of really strategically placing dice of what you want to do in the game. And as I said, it plays actually really quite quickly. I played 3-player, me, the wife, and the kid. And we played it in like 30-40 minutes. And it was like really quite
very
fun.
decent time. Yeah.
Yeah. The wife was actually going, I can't believe you're making me play something like this.
Yeah.
But she actually won. She beat both of us. She was like, actually, that was quite good fun. So
it's much easier to enjoy a game when you win it.
Yeah, of course. I know how you are, Lewis.
I didn't win brass, and it was everything I should have hated, but I couldn't help enjoying it.
No, you do get that. And then in my third game, the retail game, which is kind of surprised I didn't think I'd get, but it's called Golem. Now, if you look at the front cover of this box, doesn't really sell you, I don't think. But if you look at the game components, it's actually really quite colourful and quite pretty. There is a lot going on. I tried to teach this at Monday night, and it took a good 45 minutes to an hour to teach. And you need to teach everything. Yes. But once you get into the game, it's actually quite simple. And I taught it to the wife, and she did say, I can't believe, again, you're making me play this sort of game. But again, we started playing it, and she was going, I really like this. It's really good. It's really quite fun. And it's actually quite simple. Once you know the mechanics and know the symbols, you can actually work it out. It's like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. But there is a lot going on in it. So it's a bit of a table hog. There's a lot going on, but it's really quite beautiful. And what's great, if you think about it, there's 4 rounds. In each round, you get 3 actions to do. So in the whole game, you would take 12 actions. Now, a game can last for 2 hours.
Wow. That's amazing. So it's not
but it's really good. No, it feels like not enough, but like it's an engine builder, and you by the time you get into second, third, fourth round, you might be unlocking some combos where you can just do this, and this works, and then this works, and then I've actually done quite a bit. Actually, that's quite good. The other great thing about it, again, it's got marbles in it. You put marbles down this.
Marbles.
Yeah, you put this marble down like this kind of dice tower kind of display thing. And where they end up will be along 5 tracks. And those tracks determine the action you're going to take. So each round you will pick 2 marbles, and you'll also place out this pawn, which is called a rabbi, because it's kind of based on Jewish religion thing. So there's rabbis, the synagogue is the marble tower thing, and then you're building golems. Apparently Jewish had a thing about building golems. I don't know, maybe someone correct me, but that's what I get from it.
I'm reading it in the blurb on the description. It's a creature that Rabbi Lowy animated from a clay statue to protect his people. 16th century legend of the Column of Prague.
So you actually do build golems, and they walk up the street, and if they're too far ahead of you on the street, then you have to pay a certain amount of knowledge, and if you can't pay that knowledge, then you lose points. And I think the game I played with the wife, and she weren't far behind me. I think there's about 8 or 10 points between us. I mean, I scored like 125 points, something stupid like that. And it really does open up. I just said it's the teach is a burden, but when you get into the game, it's awesome.
It sounds really interesting. It's the same design as Grand Austria Hotel and Lorenzo il Magnifico.
Yeah.
So that sounds like I'd be interested in playing that as well.
So yes.
So yeah, bring it along sometime, John. We'll have another
exactly. The club's got their own. I was playing the clubs. Mine is actually still set up underneath my gaming table, ready for the next time me and the wife want to play it. So
nice. There we go.
Yes. So that is my 3 games. Go on then, Nick.
Cool. So I'll pick some. I put 4 games, but I don't have to all of them. So I'm going to do the ones that I've played most recently. So yesterday, as it happened, yesterday evening, I got to play Scythe, which I've never played before. It's really cool. So Sam offered to teach it to us, Sam from the group. So we played a 3-player game, just the base game with some of the expansion factions mixed in. Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So it's I have played My Little Scythe a lot with the kids, but never the full
Yeah, I've
big
got
Scythe.
that. It's good.
And I could see the similarities, and what they adapted for My Little Scythe was very clever. But it's effectively it's just a race to get your 6 stars out of your 6 kind of scoring conditions.
Classic
First to get
Jamie.
there. It is classic Jamie. Yeah, very much like some of the others.
What was that one? Euphoria.
Euphoria, yeah, which again is
Scoring
getting all your
system's
stars out
identical.
first. Yeah.
I found that I like it as a game more than Joel, but I found that My Little Scythe was the depth and length that for me was a much better fit than the full scythe for what the game is.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see because it can go on a bit long. It took us, I think, 2 hours with the teach, and it should have taken probably an hour and a quarter. I think would have been the proper length for it, because you have to build up your actors, you have to build up your engine, you have to unlock the bits on your board. But there was, early on, Sam had an early lead. He had 3 stars out, and we hadn't got any. And then as the game progressed midway, we all had about 3 or 4 each, and then suddenly we rushed up to. I suddenly had 5, and I could easily have finished the game. And I thought, no, I just want to draw it out just a little bit longer, and then Sam finished it the very next turn. So the pacing was good, and it didn't feel like 2 hours. And I like the asymmetry of the factions, the way they have slightly different ways of different combinations of top and bottom actions on their board. So because all the players you can have 4 different top actions and 4 different optional bottom actions, and you can trigger off other people's actions. So it was a clever mix of mechanics, and I like that asymmetry. Although apparently there are some banned combinations of factions and player boards because they're too powerful.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's because I just played it a lot when it first came out, and then like you said, there was some certain things like OP plays and things like that that was just like, oh, okay. And then you just realise, it's not that great. It's interesting. I think
combat's
again
annoying.
The height. Yeah, I think combat really annoyed me because it was one of those things like if you lose, you lose. It's that if you play a card with it, I always felt that if they're playing a high card, the loser should benefit, or you should be giving something away. I think we discussed this before on a podcast, and I kind of made some examples of how it could have been more fair, because you're not going to go into a fight unless you've got high paid cards, and you're going to pick on the person that's got, because you can see what cards they've got in front of them. So you're going to go in and fight low card people, aren't you, or low power people, and so you're just like, I've lost this. I'm not going to get that much from it. I can't remember if the losers get anything from it. So it just kind of felt like, well, that just seems unfair, unjust.
I think the moment it really lost it for me was when I had seen that had more military power or something than Joel it was actually, and I knew I had the highest powered card, which I was going to use, so it's a guaranteed star for winning a victory. Off I go to fight him, and then actually I've got some ability that lets me pick one of your cards, and you happen to take my most powerful card, and then I lost the fight. And it's just like, that's dog shit, isn't it? Like, what? Like some random power that I haven't got that he has, which is just like, well, for goodness sake, I hate stuff like that. Really hate that. It's a crap asymmetric lazy design. Ugh.
So I don't know how the difference in the asymmetries would work in every combination. I'd like to see how it works. I don't think there is much more that I would see in multiple plays. I'm kind of interested in seeing what the Rise of Fenris expansion campaign does with it.
I'm not.
But I can't see that playing that base game multiple times is going to be much different each time. It's just a few tweaks. But I enjoyed it. It was good to try.
In fairness to it, I was playing the wrong game. Like as
you turned up for a totally different game.
Yeah. Like it's got a lot more kind of like area control and farming to it than I just didn't realise that was the game.
Right. Yeah.
I realised it halfway through, and it was a bit too late when I was playing it. So I was like, oh, oops. My little side's better anyway.
Cool. So the next game I played a couple of weeks ago was Undaunted North Africa, which is a follow-up to Undaunted Normandy.
We played that, Lewis.
2-player deck builder.
Yeah,
you played one of the
nice.
Undaunted?
Yeah, we played it
We
online.
played Normandy, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played online. I remember that. So
I feel like we were quite good, wasn't it?
it was actually quite good.
Yeah, I enjoy playing it. So North Africa is effectively it's just a different set of campaigns than the Normandy ones, but it's a very interesting take on deck building with the map that you're trying to achieve effectively asymmetric objectives, and the deck you're building are your troops that you're deploying, and if someone wounds one of your soldiers, that card gets removed from the deck, and then if all of those types get removed from the deck, then you can't get any of those back ever again. So I thought that's a very interesting way of doing things. We only played one kind of the intro scenario, but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think I'd like to see how the rest of the campaign would play out.
Joe, I feel like we had a really one-sided event. Didn't something happen? Like, wasn't like one player really easy, and just got all the right cards, and the other person got none of the right cards and was playing it hard anyway? Or was that something like that happen?
I think it's
can't
one of
remember
those.
which round it was.
I think it's one of those games where, like, if you know what you're doing, then you're going to know the strategy that you need to do, because each person has a different objective, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you kick my ass or did I kick yours? I feel it was a really one-sided
I think
affair.
it was. Yeah. So we played one. We played the beginning one, and I think you beat me just, and then the second time we played a different scenario, because I remember there was some kind of river in the middle, and then I think you won or I won. I can't remember which way round it was now, but we kind of sat there going, maybe it needs more plays, but
yeah,
it was.
I remember
feeling
really one-sided one of the way. It was either really easy or really hard. I can't remember which one it was for me.
I think it also plays into that. There's a bit of luck to it of what you draw up. So if you don't draw up what you need, then you're going to be scuppered, because then the other person's going to be able to do what they need to do.
You will need certain characters to do certain things to achieve your goals.
Oh, and there's dice rolling, isn't it? So if you
there's some of that as well. Yeah, that can go against you.
Yeah. What I thought was a very interesting mechanic was when you play for initiative as your kind of the first thing you do in the round, and the high power cards for the higher initiative are ones that are really useful if you play them as normal cards. So you're really having to weigh up. Do you want to play an 8 or a 9, but then you won't be able to recruit anyone this turn, or you're going to play low, but then you have to get the risk of being second in turn order. I really like that.
That's it. Yeah.
So I think it's one of those you need to play with someone that's at the same level,
someone of equal skill,
and intelligence, and also multiple players will just like I think it'd be at the end a modern day equivalent of the chess kind of battle going on, but a bit more, because you're
trying to outthink and outplan the other player and cope with the randomness of the card draws. So it was an interesting one. So I enjoyed playing that. And then the last one I'll talk about is Subterra, which I played at the UK Games Expo in one of the evenings. We played it in the Open Gaming, and this was with a load of the Plymouth guys who've gone up there.
Is this the really dark one?
Yep. Yeah, the really dark one. That you can get the version that glows in the dark.
You need a rope, and if you don't roll a 6,
that's right.
You can be stuck there forever.
The rope. And we played it, and we probably shouldn't have played it as 6-player, considering the 5 of us were playing it for the first time. But Sam was very keen to try it, so we thought it'd be fun to try. And it is a co-op, it's a cave escape. You're trying to get through the deck of cave tiles in order to find the exit, and you can go cautiously and peek at what's coming, or you can just run straight in, and you have to really run a lot, because otherwise you're not going to get through the deck.
And Joel will never roll a bloody 6.
No, that's it. Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. There are these horrors that come out that will attack you, and we had an instance very early on where Ian went down the passageway and got killed by it. You don't get killed. You get knocked out by a horror.
Yeah.
And so we spent a number of turns getting me to his character to revive him, and immediately drew another horror. So we both then died.
Yeah.
And then we had to get the other people to get to him, who were busy making rope and failing all the time.
Yeah.
And they got to us eventually, and then immediately another horror came out and killed 3 of us.
Yeah.
And so there were only 2 people left on the board trying to get out. And it was, luck-wise, it was very much too much luck-based for me, but it was with that group, it was very funny. Just how badly we did was hilarious, because we just kept failing to make. We were saying, "Oh, you're making rope out cheese. What are you doing?"
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you don't. You weren't that bad. The way you described it, I almost feel like that was the exact same game I played.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody was trying to make rope all the time and had to roll like a 50,000 or something and never could. And so spent like half an hour doing absolutely jack all. Somebody else like went down a slopey bit that they were getting back up was to like roll a 6 but couldn't roll a 6. Me or someone else got killed by a horror, and then somebody else who came to get me got killed by a horror. And like I think we turned over about 5 tiles and we're like, how are we going to do this? And then
I think it's one of those they try.
Probably a 2/3 of the deck of tiles, to be fair. I don't think any of us went cautiously. We always just ran in blind. We thought, right, we're just going to run. We're going for it. And it didn't turn out quite as well as we hoped.
Yeah, I think Lewis is right. We played it because I got this on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And we played it at the pub, and like I said, it was like every time we turned over a tile, one of us was knocked out or something was happening. Yeah. And then I think I played it again at another friend's house, and we actually got to the end where some of them actually got out. But it was just that whole thing. Well, if we go back and get the people that are knocked out, we're not going to survive. So it is. And
you don't all have to win. It's just whoever gets out wins.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Is that whole common thing?
Yeah.
If you're being chased by a bear, make sure you're faster than the other people.
Yeah. I remember really struggling with the artwork. I couldn't see half of the where
the artwork is not great. I don't know because they're bringing out a version 2. I don't know if it's going to be better in the second version.
I'm not sure it's worth a reprint, is it?
It's not a reprint. It's effectively a new version.
Yeah, it's called Inferno. I thought it was out, but then I've actually heard that it's by In the Box. Is it Inside the Box?
Inside the Box, yeah.
Inside the Box Games. I think they're way behind in production, and I think this could be. And this is not their only one.
It was due out, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to start asking for more money too.
They have done. Yeah, the artwork is much lighter. It's kind of more dungeon passageways than a dark cave with no light.
Yeah, I think they don't. I don't think they're going to last much longer. Actually, to be honest, they're just by the feel is I'm getting from like people talking and that they're behind on projects.
Telling you, it's going to happen to more and more. There's a big collapse coming.
They
do use Kickstarter.
Right.
So that was me. That was all my games.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, it's just coming up to the 2-hour mark, and it's late, and
people have probably had enough of us wittering on.
Yeah. So hopefully, in the next, we'll be able to record again in a month's time.
Sounds good.
Bring more information in more gaming info.
I agree.
That's how it's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great being back on the podcast. It's been great talking to you guys again. I hope everyone has, all our 2 listeners, because we probably gained one, and I've enjoyed this podcast. And yes, hopefully there's been more on the horizon. We'll get back into a proper routine again of recording these, and might spur us on to get back into more board gaming in the due course. There is plans, hopefully.
As well.
And we might get Sam when he remembers it's not his anniversary going on. And hopefully we're planning, and don't hold us to us, that me, Lewis, and the other 2, if they want to join it, will be playing games online so we could actually do a proper review together of the same game. And give us all our collective thoughts on one review game. So that is the plans we got in the future. But please don't hold us to that because
life.
Because of life. But we will try our best. So yes,
Yeah.
month's time, hopefully it'll be next podcast. But for now, I've been Joel Wright, host and editor of this podcast, joined by
I've been Lewis, the co-host.
co-host.
And Nick, the resident designer.
Yes, that's what we got him.
Designer.
And this has been another Devon Dice podcast. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.